What are the few important things that you look at to gauge your own impact of your organization?
So, we have this big goal that we can't really measure, which is to decrease domestic violence and sexual assault in the world. And, okay, I can't really measure that. It does seem like maybe it's come down a little bit, but we can't take all the credit. However, at times of economic stress, it usually goes up. So we're probably back in it. But we combine our measurement of our numbers of how many people come to our website. How much does it cost us to run it for that number of people? And then we have 100,000 unique users every month that come to the website. So then we also so we have those numbers, and then we have the email hotline where we have some actual content for people. Like, we know a little bit about what they're going through, and so we can take those stories and apply them to the numbers. So the numbers mean more to us. If I know somebody has, read this material on getting how you can become a citizen, even if you're a victim of domestic violence and married to whatever, you don't need to know that. Okay, if you can read this material and do something to help yourself, but then I have an email of a person I've been emailing with and I understand exactly how that material has impacted her life, then I can sort of put those things together. So that's how we do it, is combine the stories we know with the numbers that we have, and we know that we're having a big impact on people.
I look at decreased recidivism, particularly future convictions for violent crimes. I look for less incarceration, so they successfully complete my program and therefore don't go to jail or prison on the charge that got them referred to me. Improved mental health for the victims, particularly fewer symptoms of post-traumatic stress, depression, anxiety, substance use that are common effects of being the victim of violent crime. Cost savings, which is connected to that second one. So if fewer people go to prison, it's cheaper. And service access. So our populations of people who are not currently linked into the victim service infrastructure more readily accessing compensation and the other range of things that are available to them. And so all of those are big data driven. I mean, the last is the one that's most kind of programmatic. Like, we check off the ones who got referred and we know that internally, but the others I have baseline recidivism data that's compiled from New York City Department of Corrections and New York State Corrections, the Division of Criminal Justice Service, to get a parallel thing exactly to my group. So very high level rigorous research particularly on the mental health outcomes and that. And then the last one we look at is, are people more satisfied with the process? So do they experience it as fair, as safe, as just, as compared with people who go through the courts? And that's also something with a closely matched comparison group. So we're very research driven in the things that we measure, and we try not to talk too much about things that we can't measure, which seems, I think, especially in this funding climate, people want to know that they're getting what they paid for.
And Eklund Green, you're an angel investor, so in the for-profit world, angel investors can look at their financial returns. So what's the analog?
Yeah, you at Blue Ridge probably have a similar challenge as we do in terms of, we're so early stage, how much credit can we really take? So we've struggled a lot. So here are some proxies. Sustainability, long-term, not immediately after we funded them, but kind of really long-term. We've been around for 20 years. How many organizations are still around, one, and how are they doing? And by the way, we count merging as a success. And even closing, this is how it gets so circular. It's not actually a bad thing. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Talent, are the people who we have supported, have they gone on to do really incredible, amazing, awesome things? And are they staying in social change somehow, some way, as a core part of what they do? That doesn't mean they have to be working in the nonprofit sector. They could be an absolutely amazing board member, for example. 3, we look at the ROI. This is a really, really rough proxy, but how much money have we invested in the organizations, and how much collectively have those institutions been able to attract to their mission? 4, we look at further faster, what I call the further faster element, which is so we have finalist weekend where we bring all of our finalists in our process together, And for now, we've done 2 studies where we have studied our fellows compared to what we call near fellows, people who came to Finalist Weekend but actually didn't get our fellowship. And we look at all sorts of different measures. So, for example, budget size, organizational size, kind of the more institutional stuff. What's the direct impact, kind of short term, of getting Echo and Green funding? And we found really good results, which are expected. The one that I'm most excited about, because we're again shifting to thinking about individuals, leaders, talent, is how can we think about the leadership development of our social entrepreneurs? And so one of the things that we are playing around with, or how can we measure that? So we just did a study with BCG thinking about what we hope to implement on the leadership development side, which I think is somewhat ignored by institutions that are in this kind of early stage. It's kind of self-reported, but is there something that can be a little bit more rigorous? So to be continued, but I mean, they were scratching their heads, and BCG was doing all sorts of different comparisons, and we talked to a lot of people, and they're really, there's kind of a void. So it's interesting.